Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you all for being here. Today, we're going to be doing some coin searches. What you're seeing here now is a Buffalo nickel. Now, this Buffalo nickel is a 1938 D over D. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at some known varieties. And we're going to be looking at some things that are clearly documented. We know exactly what's going on. Hey, what's up, Steve? Good evening, Invisible. We're going to be looking at repunched mint marks. We're going to be looking at some DDOs, double die obverses, and we're going to be looking at some double die reverses. Now, I know they are what they are. They've been validated and verified. And so we're going to be looking at these. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you how to attribute these. Now, there are other channels that do this every day. I'm more of an education channel. I like to talk a little bit about kind of the history of things, what happens, what's going on. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to walk through some of these, and then I'm going to not only walk through some of these things, I'm going to show you how you actually go find them. What sites do you use? What do those sites look like? How would you navigate to them, and what is it that you're going to be looking for? So that's kind of what we're going to go over there. We're not going to be on very long, but I just want to walk through a few of these. Again, I got my coin scope back up and running, and so I want to make sure that you have all the information. What's up, Jack? Good to see you. Now, this one, again, it's really cool. Now, this is in a slab. This isn't in a PCGS slab, so I know what this one is. It's marked on the label. But if I were to see a coin like this, what's up, Dandy Dave? Good to see you. If I were to find a coin like this in the wild, if I was looking through Pocket Change, how would I figure this out? How would I know what this is? So I'm going to give you a couple sites. And if you have some paper, some pen, whatever, write it down. I keep my pencil handy, not only to do that, but to act as a pointer so that we can actually kind of look at some of the device items there. It's cool because the lead looks the same color as my coin. But I'll walk through and I'll tell you how to identify and what's there. So the one thing that I want to do is I want to first go pull up my associated website. Now, I just showed you copper coins, but what I want to do is here I'm going to be going into Variety Vista. And I want to get into Variety Vista Home. So the first thing I want to do is I want to know, where is it that I'm trying to get to? Where do I need to go? Wendy celebrates 4 months of membership. Outstanding, Wendy. Thank you so much for being here. Greatly appreciated. I definitely do appreciate all your support. All right, so what are we looking at? Well, right now we are looking at, Michael said hi. Okay, well, hi, Michael. I told him I was going to do this in a little while. So what are we looking for? Well, we scroll down the list and we come over here and we're going to see Buffalo nickels. Now, when the Buffalo nickels comes up, there's a couple of things that I'm going to want to look for. The first thing that I want to look for, and not a lot of people talk about, is the mint mark variety. Now, there are different styles of mint mark, and I'm going to show you Denver. Here, there are 2 listings of this particular element. Hey, Michael Stacking and LL, what's going on? Good to see you. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. So there are 2 distinct styles, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want you to see these pretty clearly. Now, if you look at the top one, you're going to see this little kind of arrow, and you'll see a straight line, and it's kind of a triangle. Looks like one of those little arrows that point to the right. But if I come down here and I look at this one, you can see it's kind of an oval shape. It's kind of, it's not really shaped like that arrow that was before. The serif at the top is kind of thicker. Here it kind of rotates out. There's a top and a bottom one. You can't see the bottom one very well because of the shadow. But you can tell these mint marks are different. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important for a couple reasons. Number one, if you really want to know what you're looking for, you're going to have good references of all the items that you're looking at, okay? Amy Harrell, 7 months membership. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. What's up, Jackknife? Thanks for being in. Again, I appreciate you all being here. So let's look at this one down here. I know that my coin is 1938. It says so on the label. I know that it's there. And what's up, JJ? Good to see you, brother. I know that mine is 1938. Now, if I look up top here, I'm going to see that this mint mark style stopped in 1934. Okay, so I don't have to look at this one. If I see this mint mark style, there's a problem. It's somebody's a counterfeit coin. They're trying to pass this off as something that it's not, or something like that. OC, 8 months of membership. Thank you so much, AC. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys' support. And if I come down here, I'll see that 1938 was only 1 year. So when I'm looking at 1938, I should only be seeing one thing. Now, we're looking at the mint mark, okay? So if I'm looking at the mint mark, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to be looking at repunched mint marks, RPMs. And then it's going to give me the years. Now I scroll down through here. You notice Philadelphia doesn't have a mint mark. So there's not going to be a Philadelphia here. If there is one, for instance, War Nickels and things like that, where they do add the P mint mark, then you would see the P mint mark under this particular element. Buffalo Nickel, there wasn't one, so you just won't see it. 18 months. Wow, Michael, thank you so much for all your membership. Greatly appreciate you being here. All right, so Jackknife might be in the other one. I'm streaming in 2 platforms, one vertical and one horizontal. And so you will see whichever one you're in. So there's 2 different sets of chats here. If you're in something and doesn't seem like there's a lot of people, go over to the other side. All right, so I want to go into this 1938. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a bunch of possible listings. Now let's go back really quickly and let's look at the coin. So here we go. We're back to the camera. We're looking at the coin and we have to have a decent reference here. So what are we looking at? Well, we see 2 solid lines on the left of the D. Okay. And so when you look at this particular one, we have to find the same thing on the website. So I come over here and I kind of scroll through these and I see 2 possible listings, number 4 and number 2. So I have to try to determine which one it's going to be. Okay. Oh, I like Dell in August too, but you're not going to find that in a Buffalo. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at that and I'm going to be looking for die markers. I'm going to be looking for the various stages to try to understand what it is that I'm looking for in this particular coin. And I'll see this line. So again, want to get a good frame of reference. And I'll jump back and forth between the coin again and the image. So you guys are getting a couple different reference points. So we'll jump back over here. But see this little thing right here? Oh, you see this on my mouse. I'm looking at the middle picture. There's this kind of little impression. It's kind of a scratch. There's some sort of little marker on the front of this. And if I come over here to this coin and I look at it, and I kind of rotate this a little bit, you'll see that right there, let me grab my little handy dandy pencil. Right here, you will see that little line next to the D. Now, when you're looking at, hey, what's up, Otis? Good to see you. Hey, Rhonda. How are you doing? Thanks so much for being here. When you're looking, it's not double stamped. It's called a repunched mint mark. Okay. It has been double stamped, but it's called a repunched mint mark. So if you're looking at mint mark variety or RPM, RPM stands for repunched mint mark, just so you're aware. And I know you know that. I just want to make sure that anybody's watching who isn't aware of it knows what that is. All right. So we've identified that on this website, right? And this is Variety Vista. We've identified that there's that little marker there to the right, and it matches the back. It's not close. It's exact. It's the exact same thing. So we don't need to look at the other one. We've already identified it. So this particular buffalo nickel is going to be RPM 002. And so when I look at this particular listing, this is going to be 1938 D over D, and then it's going to show RPM number 2. Now, why would I have to classify this if it's on or in a slab? Well, I'm going to show you the slab, and I'm going to show you what it doesn't tell me. And this is kind of big. 1938 D over D, but it doesn't give me the RPM number. So I still have to, for my own benefit, and for me to be able to understand how much the potential worth is of this coin, I have to still be able to determine what it is. So that coin still has to be attributed. Yes, it shows that it is a D over D, and we clearly have validated that. But I need to know which one that is. So what I would do is I would take a little sticker, or what I've done in this particular case is take my little plastic thing and I put a blue piece of tape on there. And on that blue piece of tape, I'm going to type in RPM 002. And then when I slide my coin back in the case, now I have this RPM 002 label here, and I know what this coin is moving forward. So now that this coin is in my stack, now that this coin is in my collection, I don't have to go worry about attributing it again because I've documented it. I've put it on the coin holder, I've put it on a little piece of paper, and then I'm able to identify it just by looking at that sticker. Now, if I'm looking through Pocket Change or I'm doing a coin roll search and I come across something like this. Now, this one's pretty hard to see, so I'm going to rotate this a little bit. And when it gets to about this position, you're going to see something. And it's very, very, very hard to see. And what you're looking for is right here, right at the bottom of the S. You're going to see it kind of a little split. Looks like this. My two fingers, you see my two fingers. It looks like this, the tips of my fingers. There's just this little itty bitty separation there. This looks like a little toe coming off the bottom of this. And you can see another one right there. It's on the two serifs of that, but you can see that primarily on the bottom. Now, this is a very small one. This is definitely hard to tell what it is. So I don't know what this number is, so I have to go attribute this coin. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to go back to my Variety Vista, click Home, and then click on Vista Home. Come down here, and I'm going to go to link and cents. Now, what link and cent am I looking for? Am I looking for double dice? Am I looking for an RPM? Well, in this case, I'm looking for an RPM 1939. So I'm going to come here and click on this one. I'm going to be looking at the RPM listings. And then I'm going to be looking at 1939. And again, this is San Francisco, so I'll click on the San Francisco listing. And it's going to pull up a couple of these items. Now, if you look, in this particular case, there's only two. So Variety Vista may not have what I need. Well, that could be a problem, right? Well, not necessarily. Because in every situation, there's multiple websites. In this particular case, there's Copper Coins. Now, Copper Coins is another website. That's a really good site managed by, built by Chuck Daughtry. And then Eric Beyer, who's constantly on my panels on Saturday and Sundays on my live stream, actually does reveals and coin shows and talks about coins, and they do their searches for the different varieties. They do those live. You can, excuse me, you can see the videos on it. He's actually done coin searches on my channel. And so they have a really good resource. So I can come down here, type in 1939, mint mark variety, and then come down here and submit my search. And then what I'm looking for in these particular pictures is that same general bottom serif. Now you can see some of these are really interesting. This one's really cool, RPM number 2. Unfortunately, that one doesn't quite match. We're starting to get into something that looks a little bit more familiar, but if we look at this image on the coin, and again, it's a little bit far away, it doesn't quite go as deep. So if we look at this coin again, we pull this one up. This one is a little bit deeper. It definitely doesn't match. We're looking at the coin again. You'd have these resources side by side. I'm changing the screen so that you can see them. But that bottom serif just isn't as defined as the other one. So this one's a little bit too defined. It's not the same position. And so we've got to look at another one. Now, if we come down here to 5, ironic thing happens. Well, in 1939, there's only 5. And it just so happens that this bottom one actually kind of mirrors what we're seeing in this particular one. And that's that little itty bitty mint mark item down here. And you can see that little itty bitty serif that kind of points out that small little gap that's there on the other coin. And so when we look at this particular one, and again, we're looking at a coin that's probably in MS64 condition. What they do is they have a little price guide over here onto the left, and I'm able to tell you that my coin, it's probably 63, 64, is probably anywhere between a $15 and a $20 coin. So this is actually a pretty good resource for you to look at. Now, I want to come here. I'm not seeing this same mint mark style. I don't see the mint mark here on Wexler or on Variety Vista, but there's another site called Wexler. Okay, and so if I come down here to RPM listings, then I can scroll again, wheat cents, click on the year, 1935 to 1939, and then I'm going to scroll down to my 1939. Now, these go in order. Unfortunately, you have to scroll through this one, and you'll see a couple of them that are listed. They tell you what the Kaneka number is, if it's a Kaneka number, if it's an FS listed number, then they will document that. We'll come down here, and I got to scroll all the way down to 1939, 37, 38. Okay, we're getting into 1939. So this looks like number 2. You still see that. You see that one serif there. Again, that looked like number 3 or 4 from copper coins. Again, we go back and forth, and we can look at these coins back and forth and compare and contrast. This one has a lot of photos, but it's not quite the same one. We look at this particular one, doesn't quite look right. And then we see this, we see that serif up top, that serif on the bottom. And again, we're looking at mint mark number 5. Well, number 5 was the exact same one as the other. Oh. Sorry about that. My son came in. Now, what we've got here is we've got 2 different sites, right? We got Wexler's, and Wexler's is giving us really good insight to what we're looking for. But I want you, yeah, my blue Smurf gloves. I'm touching coins between MS62 and MS67. They're in holders that are labeled. These are very nice coins. I don't want to get any of my oils on them. Some of these are fairly high quality coins, and I'll show you this one. I'll zoom out a little bit when I'm done showing this. But what's cool about this is this particular one shows you some die scratches. Now, the one mint mark that looked like what we were seeing didn't show additional pictures. And so when I come here, it's like, ooh, there's some long lateral die scratches there next to the 9. So we come back over here and we look at the coin, and we look over at the 9 off to that, and we see, let's see, what do we see? Rotate this a little bit. Do we see those long lateral die scratches? And in fact, hard to see, but we do. They're right there. right next to the 9. Now they're not as pronounced. They're pretty light, but this coin clearly has been polished and it's a late die state. You can see this because of the, oops, let me put that over there. Sorry about that. You can see this because of the 9. You can see all this die deterioration that's happening. Whoops. All this die deterioration that's happening over here on the 9. What's happening here is the die wear is actually wearing against that and pulling that across. And so that's actually causing damage to the die. And so we can look at, we can see some of those items, look at the various markers, and see some of those elements. And it's important that you turn your coin and you'll see things from different vantage points, depending upon where your light's coming from, because again, that bottom serif disappeared, but the top one shows here. But if we rotate that over here, you can clearly see both that top and that bottom serif. Now, we just spent a couple minutes looking at this. We've identified that this particular coin is mint mark number 5. And so again, we come down here, we look at mint mark number 5. We verified that this is the same coin on 2 different sites. It's in the same location. It's the same mint mark style. And what do we have? Well, we have anywhere from a $15 to a $20 coin. And so this is ways that you attribute this. Now I'm going to pull this aside. I'm going to zoom my camera out a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the quality of this particular coin. Now this particular coin is in great shape. There is one thing that is keeping it from a higher grade, and you can see this coin. This is it's a very, very nice, clean 1939, but you can see that little stuff out in front of Lincoln's face. Okay, that stuff out in Lincoln's face is distracting. And the problem with the stuff out in front of Lincoln's face is it's in that field. And that is going to hurt the value of this coin. So this coin, if that wasn't there, it's got really good definition all the way across. Probably could come out at 66, maybe 67. Unfortunately, that area there is going to drop this coin down to about a 64, 65. Now there's also, I'm going to flip this coin over, look at the reverse. On the reverse of this coin, there was that little mark there on the leaves. You can see that is there. But next to one on the far right side, you'll see that. And then just to the upper left hand of one, you'll see there's kind of a little black spot. All of these little things detract from the value of this coin. You can see there's some spotting down here in the United States. And that's just going to continue to get worse over time. So again, this coin is going to sit somewhere between MS64, maybe MS65. So neat coin. I'm going to put this back in the holder, and I'm going to put this back in my book. And again, most of the ones that I'm looking at, as a matter of fact, all of the ones that I'm looking at have been documented. Now, when I mean documented, they've actually come from copper coins, or I found these in other coin searches, other coin hunts, and we've been able to classify them. Now, I've worked with Chuck Daughtry. I've worked with Paula Bloom. I've worked with Eric Beyer. There's a number of people that I've talked with about attributing and looking at some of these items. Again, lots of folks from LiveCoin Q&A. And again, I'm learning every time. And so when we look at this coin, you see that there's some stuff on the cheek. There's a couple little marks on the vest. Some of those are the design elements. There's a hit there that's pretty significant. Little spot on the back of his head. We flip this over again. Let's see a little spots on one. Now these are fairly small. Again, we're looking at this at about 100 magnification, 150 magnification. So you're going to see a lot more than you would. What I want you to look at on this particular coin is the lack of luster. Remember how bright and shiny the last coin was? This one has a little bit lack of luster. That's going to hurt the price as well. And so again, we're probably looking at 64. It might be a little bit more, but we'll see. Could be struck through something. Hard to tell. But anyway, so, all right, well, we're looking at this one. Now, what are we looking for here? Well, this one is a coin that's already been attributed, but now I need to figure out what it is. But in order for me to figure out what it is, I have to determine if this is a mint mark variety, if this is a double die. So I have to find the variety. Now, one thing that's really important, you can look at all of the coins you want to. You can look for die markers. You can do all of this stuff if you want to. But the thing that you really need to keep in mind when you're doing this is that you need to find the variety first. You need to find the variety first. What does that mean? It means that if you are seeing something and it looks like thickening or doubling in the 1942, for instance, then what I would look for is I would look for something that is a little bit thicker than I would normally expect. Like you would see with the D or things, right? I would look at and try to find out what it is that is about that particular coin. And I would kind of dig into that. And once you start to figure out the design elements and once you start to figure out what it is that you're looking for, you're going to be able to go through and start to find some of these things. So what I'm looking for here is I'm trying to find some sort of doubling on this coin. It's listed as a double die, but I don't know exactly where this is. So I'm going to be looking at a bunch of different places. Now, I don't know if y'all can see this, but do y'all see the T, the second T in trust? Let me move this a little bit more. Y'all see the second T in trust? Thanks, freaking awesome. This is my, this is the new Amscope I picked up. If you watch the video, the live stream that I did today, I put the link to it in Amazon. It's an Amscope. It's normally higher than this, and they dropped the price. And it was only like 90 bucks. It's expensive when you're talking about some scopes, but this actually comes with the software that you can actually adjust, and it's definitely a great scope. Yeah, so you see that second T, right? So you see right over here, you see that little secondary T that's there. And that T is doubling. Now I want to look through the rest of it. You can see there's that doubling in the second T. And it's primarily in the T's. You can see a little bit there on the I, little bit of a shift there on the W, but it's primarily on the T's in trust. Now I come down here to Liberty to look and see if I can see anything with Liberty. Not really. Maybe a little bit of something on the B here, maybe in the bottom of the I, but they look pretty good. There doesn't look to be anything really out of the ordinary there. And when I come over to the date, we'll rotate that, look at the mint mark. The mint mark's fine, so it's not an RPM and a DDO. And nothing is going on with the date. We'll look at the eyelid, look at the ear. There's no other doubling. So the doubling, there is some schmutz and stuff on his cheek. That's actually a cancer on a coin. This will actually continue to grow unless you rectify it and reserve it. Oh man, who gifted? Tiger Stacker gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Tiger. I appreciate it. Let's see who got those. Nana, Mike Carney, Forrest, Deneen. Outstanding. Make sure you all are saying thanks to Tiger Stacker. Really appreciate that. And if I'm missing stuff, folks, I apologize. I don't have my headphones on. I'm not looking at any of my notifications. I've got one window for chat open. So if you guys are saying something to me and I'm missing it, please do me a favor and just put something down in chat again and try to get my attention. So again, we're looking at this, and so now we see this doubling. Well, in order for us to validate it, we actually have to go through and try to find this particular coin. So again, I told you that when we were looking at these items, there were a couple sites that you needed to look at. So the first site that we're going to look at, we're going to come over here to copper coins. The year is 1942. I've already looked up 42. You can see that's been there. Scroll down. I'm going to click on Denver. And in this case, I'm going to be looking for a double die obverse. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to hit search. But before I do anything with this site, I'm going to go do the other ones here. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to be looking for a 1942D. I'm going to pull these up, and I'm going to have this ready so when I find the one, I can come back and I can look at it and see if I've found this on another one. I want to take this even further. I can come over here, go back over here to double die listings, because I'm looking for a double die. I want to look on wheat cents. I'm going to be looking at 1942, and I want to make sure that I'm looking at 1942 Denver, and then this will bring up all the 1942 Denvers, and then again, I can scroll through. Once I find it, see if I can find the replica, look at the additional images, and see if we can attribute it accordingly. Look for the various die markers and things like that. So let's come over here. Let's go back to copper coins, and we're looking for the doubling. So we can look through here and see what's going on. And lo and behold, what do we see here? We see the 1DO005. Now, in order for me to determine whether this is EDS's early die state and MDS's middle die state, that kind of tells you where the quality of the die is based off of how long it's been used and so forth. And again, folks, if you're watching this on the vertical stream, subscribe to the channel. It's free for you. It does definitely help you receive information. And there's a lot of people in chat. If you want to question whether I'm legit, or you want to kind of ask people, hey, what does Frostbite do? What is he like? I really try to give the best content I can. Not just content that is, oh my God, check this out. You can win a lot of money on this coin if you sell it through Pocket Change. That's not the kind of channel I am. I am pure education. I want to talk to you guys about the history of things. Today, I talked about mint theft and a really cool story about a peg leg dude who stole gold anodes by using a thing in his fake knee or fake leg. Drilled out a little hole and was stealing gold anodes from the mint. $100,000 in 1920 standards. So you can just think about how much money that is now. Just massive amounts of money. So I like telling the stories. I like teaching you guys stuff. But the other thing that I like to do is I like to help explain why things are the way they are, why we see it, why we call it. And this is why I'm walking through these particular processes so that you understand what's going on. There's so much mis and disinformation out there. I really want to try my best. And I surround myself with some pretty solid folks, people who really care about the hobby. So give it a try. If you don't like it, just leave and be done with me. But give me a chance, because I promise you, if you find information that I've stated that isn't quite right, I will make it right. And I will do what I can to go back and do that. I offer that as a challenge to you all. That if you guys see something that I say, or you guys put something down and I check it, and you guys say, hey, it's something else, you can validate it better than I can, tell me. I'm learning in this hobby just like everybody else. And some of you have way more experience than I do. So again, this is a community of giving back and forth. That's what this is about. And that's what my channel's about. So let's dig into this. Okay, so let's go pull up my coin again. All right, so we're pulling up my coin. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to click on. I wanted to click on this. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to look at, okay, the first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at that little bitty area around the rim. Now, when you look at this little area around the rim, what do you see? Oh, I don't know where my pencil went. I need my pencil. I need my pencil. It's my pointer. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. What we're looking at is this area right through here. You see how there's no real striations? You see how there's no lines? The field's really nice. It's clean. There's not a lot of markers, not a lot of metal flow. Strike is really good. It's really clean outside of the little gut that's on it. There's no stretching of the letters. You don't see any kind of elongating that's there. You don't see any kind of repair marks that are there. Maybe a little bit of die wear. You see a little bit of stuff there, but for the most part, this is a really, really solid strike. So I would most likely call this early to mid die state. Okay, so why does that matter? Because the markers might be a little bit different, right? They may have polished something away on the die between the early and the mid die state. So your markers might be different. So it's important to look at your markers. Now, in this particular case, the coin is, it's pretty clear. You know exactly what it is. It's here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come back over here and pull up the website, and I'm going to pull up the mid die state, and I'm going to be looking at this. And now when I look at my coin and I look at the detail, that's a little bit more worn than my coin. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go click on early die state. And when I click on early die state, yeah, that's what my coin looks like. All right, we got a good solid T. We've got that good item there. We're going to go back to this, look at this one. Do we have that die scratch that's there off of the S? Yes, we do right there. That little die scratch is there. Now, this one is a little bit better than this one. So the one that's taken in the picture may be kind of early mid die state, where mine might be an even earlier state. You can see that it's a little bit cleaner than the one that's there. We can scroll down and we can see some additional images. So the next place they want me to look at is that second T. So we're going to look at that T over there, and we're going to look at those elements. We see both the lines there. Okay, so we look at my coin, right? We see both those lines there. This is the lines that are on the website, and they match. You see the little die scratches that are there. That's very clear. You see those die scratches on that coin. The die scratches are very small in retrospect. So it's very likely that mine is a little bit more early die state, even than what's being displayed here. It doesn't show nearly as many scratches. Now, why do the scratches happen on coins? This is a really good question. Now, the scratches happen in the coins because as they polish, right, they have to clean the dies up. Maybe there's something that hit, maybe there was a strike through, or maybe the die started to wear a little bit and they needed to clean the dies up. Well, remember that on a die, all of these letters are in cuse on the die, meaning they're in underneath the surface of the die. So if you're taking something that's flat, actually, you know what? Let me grab something. I've got this little toy. You guys ever seen these? That's really noisy. I'm sorry. Move that away from the mic. Okay. You guys know these things? Here, just a sec. I'll make myself a little. Ooh, excuse me. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger for just a short time. You remember these things? You put your hands in them and they form little designs on the other side. Right? Remember those? All right. Well, this is a really great way to explain what's inside the die. Now there's green in here and it disappears, so I apologize that. But what's happening is these areas down here that are pushed in are like the encused areas that the 1942, the we, the in God we trust, all that stuff is pressed into the surface. So when you're looking at the die, it actually is inside the surface of the coin, or the surface of the die. So if I turn this way, this would be the surface of the die. And all of those elements are actually inside of that. And so when we're talking about the surface of the die and things that are raised on a coin, that's why that is. I'm going to drop myself back down here a little bit. You guys that don't want to be seeing my big nasty mug. And I just noticed that the light behind me isn't on. And because it's not on, you see all this little refraction stuff. So let me get rid of this refraction stuff real quick. That should resolve that, and it should go away. Yeah, that's a much cleaner image. Okay, so let's get back to looking at the coins. And again, folks, making you hungry. Why am I making you hungry? Oh, because I took a bite of pizza. All right. Well, let's see. So now we've got the identifier. We've got what's going on, and in this case, we're looking at a coin that is the 1942 1DO number 5. Now remember, in looking at the coin, I have to make a determination and try to find out. Whoops, wrong one. I have to make a determination and find out what the general condition of this coin is. Well, this nasty cheek thing, this is kind of damaging this coin. But if somebody wanted to have this in their collection, they may still want to buy it for you. Now, this particular coin, if you're looking at uncirculated condition, is a $25 coin. If it's in higher grades, you're looking at a 63, 35, 40 bucks. If you're looking at 65, you're looking at a $75 coin. And if you are looking at 67, 68, you're talking about a pricey variety. This is a really neat one to have. Unfortunate that it has this little green growth on it. Now, there's ways to take this off, but you got to be very careful. You ruin the coin. I never suggest cleaning a coin. But something like this, with a coin like this, you may take xylene on a Q-tip, dab that gently, make sure it gets, it kills that stuff. It will not stop it. It will die. It'll turn into a green death. So this is a death sentence. And unfortunately, it's a really nice coin. So this is kind of a bummer. So now we've determined that this is the 1942 1DO number 5. Now, I already knew that. And again, I've told you guys, these are all labeled. I actually have these all labeled. I know exactly what to look for. But I want you guys to be able to see this and understand what it is that we do when we're over at Chuck Daughtry's, or when we're over at somebody else's and we're looking at some of these items. Let's do another one. This is a fun one. How many people in chat like steel scents? You guys like steel scents? Steel scents are something that used to fascinate me when I was younger. 1943D. All right, son left the door open. I needed to shut it. Okay. Yes, steel scent, the silver ones. Yeah, so this is a really cool coin. It is the 1943D. Now, again, we have to determine what the double die is here. And so I know it's a double die, and I told you guys it was a double die, but how do I know this? What are we looking for? We got to look at the ear, look at the eye, look at trust, try to identify what it is that we see. See a little bit of doubling there on the G, the O. Look at that Liberty. Look at the reverse of the coin. Check out the wheat stocks. And to get a feel for what we're looking at. Okay, so did anybody, that E looks like it took a little bit of a hit. You guys see that there? Not sure exactly what happened there. All right, so now we have to figure out, now we have to determine what this is. So again, we go over to copper coins, and in this particular case, we're looking at a 1943. D is in Denver. So you're going to go look at your Denver. And then again, this one is listed as a double die obverse. I need to find out why. Hold on just a second. 1943. Oops. Might help if I chose the right year. Give me just a second. And why is this taking so long? Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Might help if I share my screen. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this up. Now we looked at the coin. Looks like an RPM. It's not an RPM. Let me pull this back up. Remember, we looked at a couple different things, and what we're looking at in this particular coin, we can look at the D, but again, when we rotate, again, when you're looking at things through a scope, now this is really important. When you're looking through a scope, there are some artifacting that happens because of the lighting. This is why it's very important that you always look at your coins first through a loupe. Be able to identify it using a loupe. Once you use a loupe, you'll be able to get a better feel for what something is. And you'll be able to actually look at the coins. And then when you look at the microscope, the reason for the microscope is to get a better look at it, to really look at the die markers and kind of get into the coin. You can find those on a microscope by just using the microscope, and people with eye issues, and I have eye issues, they have to use them sometimes. But if you don't have proper lighting and you just utilize the ones that are on the microscope, you might get shadowing. And as I turn this coin, it starts to make it look like there's doubling on the D. But if I rotate this coin back here, it's gone. Because that's not a double. It's just artifacting of light. And so it's important when you're looking at things like this, when you're looking at the collar and when you're looking at that eyelid. And when we speak of that eyelid, you can see there in the eyelid, right? This eyelid is definitely got something going on with it. Now, these are hard for me to find. These are hard for me to see. I'm going to show you, but they're hard for me to see. Right here underneath Lincoln's eye, you'll see this little itty bitty thing that comes out. That little itty bitty thing disappears when I rotate it too far this way. You can't see it as well. But when I rotate it back and I get the lighting in the right place, you can see that doubling appear. And actually right there, it's actually really good. You can see the doubling on that eyelid all the way up. And so now I need to find a doubled eyelid. So what am I going to do? Oh, freaking awesome member for 9 months. Thank you so much for being a member. I definitely appreciate you, bud. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to go find that coin. So again, we're going to go back to copper coins and we're going to be looking for eyelids. Now, here's one, but it's up at the top. And again, what we're looking for is down lower. There is something down here, but it's too far. It doesn't quite match our coin. Here's another one. This is kind of close. So let's look at it a little bit closer. You can kind of see that mark there. Does it quite match? It's close. Not quite sure, but let's look and see. It's not a very good picture. There's a die dot in the 19, and there are some die scratches that are coming here off the 4. So let's go look at our 4. Let's go look at our 19. We don't have the die dot in the 9, and we do not have those die scratches coming off of the 4. So because we don't see those two items, we know that it's not going to be this particular RPM. So we go back to the drawing board, go back to the next date, and we scroll down. So we go down, there's not thickening here. I would love to have this one. That's nice, thick 19 there. We look at this one as too low for the coin that we have. Let's go to the next one. This one is a doubling on the 4. This is in Liberty, again, 4. Here's another one with the I. Okay, well, let's look at this one. See the scratches here on the I, down here on the bottom. So let's go back over to the coin. When we look at the coin, we're going to be looking at the I area. Okay, here's the I area. Do we see those scratches on the eye? And we don't. There's a little bit of stuff up at the top, but there's nothing down here in the nose and the eye area that looks like those scratches. So we know that that's not it. So that means we got to go back and look at the next one. Scroll down, we see that one. It's definitely not right. That's too high on the eye. This one is too high on the eye as well. We come down here to 19. Again, that's on the top of the eye. And we come here. Now we see this down here and up here. So let's look at this one. Okay, so we see that here and there. So let's look at the image on ours. Again, we have to rotate it. And that's a pretty good positioning. If we check on that, you can see both the top and the bottom. They look pretty close. It's actually a pretty good match in that particular one. So what other die markers do we have? Well, let's go back to the website and see. So we'll come down here, and now we're going to be looking for these die scratches across the 9. See if those die scratches are there. Come back over to the 9 and check that out. Those die scratches are there. And so we've been able to identify that, yes, in fact, the die scratches are there. They align in the right spot. I have the same marks. You can see here on this particular one, there's another die scratch, and that die scratch is located down. If I actually pull this up, let me pull this coin back up. If I pull this up here, you can see that die scratch is on the collar there. You can see that. And so again, all of those areas are there. So this one would be classified as RPM 20. So this is a 1943D, or excuse me, 1DO 20. And you'll see that by looking at the top. So that's basically how you attribute. Now, again, if you want to look at other coins, you want to look at other items, you can do so. But again, it's very important that you find the coin, that you find the element prior to trying to find the markers and verify. You want to make sure that you know what you're looking at first. Now, it's easy for me because obviously there's already been searched. They've already been listed. And so I can pull the item up and show you exactly what's going on. But it's the exact same thing that you would do. If you want to learn more about this, go over and check out Copper Coins. Right? Go see Chuck, go see Eric, tell them that Frosty sent you, and go check out Copper Coins. They do a lot of really good stuff with this. Tomorrow morning, Eric Beyer will be on my stream. We're going to be talking about a number of different things. One of the things that we're going to be talking about tomorrow morning is what is the role of the United States Mint? Now, when I say the role of the United States Mint, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is to make coins. Yeah, but that's only partially true. There's a lot more to it than that. I want to show you guys something else that's really cool. And this is something that is, it's pretty neat. And that is, if you ever see something, scroll out a little bit, zoom out so you can see this. If you ever see writing on a copper coins listing, whoops, that says new listing copper coins, and it has a signature on it, that's what they call a plate coin. And the plate coin, they'll tell you the number, and then you'll see your coin. This is a beautiful coin, really good looking. And this coin, if I'm actually to go look up 1DO17, this coin would tell me who this belonged to. Now, in this particular case, the person that I got this coin from sold it to me as a plate coin. And so it has their name attributed to it. But there are a number of them, and I have a good friend, Joe McBride, who sent me a couple different plate coins. Now, plate coins are really cool. And plate coins are really cool because a plate coin is the actual coin that you're looking at. So I pulled up that 1945. So let's go ahead and get back to that 1945. It was a Philadelphia, and that was a 1DO. And so when I come over to this particular one, this is a number 17. And I come over here to 17, and I look at this particular coin. This coin is the same coin that plate coin belonged to. And so, like I said, the person that I got this from, this coin was initially attributed to them. And so plate coins are really cool. And if you have a plate coin that is in really good shape and you want to send it into Annex or Annex. Annex is one of the only ones that'll actually attribute this as a plate coin. And list the MM number, that RPM number, according to what Chuck and Eric have listed it as. There are certain ones that, if you have, are very valuable. A lot of people collect plate coins. They're really neat. They're really cool to have. For doing a plate coin, I would have to check. It's like $15. You have to pay shipping there and back, so that adds up. But if you have a coin shop that's doing a submission, you can send it to your coin shop, have your coin shop send it with their submission. They can ship it back to the coin shop. The coin shop can call you, and then you go pick it up. Now, it's always good to give your coin shop a little something to say, hey, thank you for doing this. Of course, you can always go to a coin show and submit it to ANAX or something like that. Yeah, you can send it back to Chuck, and when he does his thing, he can send it in and do that as well. That's a good call, Dan. But there's a couple different ways to do it that you can actually save some money. Now, do you need to get a plate coin slabbed? No, absolutely not. And in some cases, you don't want to do that. For instance, the 1942. Ooh, sorry, didn't mean to yawn. The 1942 had some schmutz on its cheek. That was the Green Death. I'm not going to want to put that thing in a slab. The reason I would not want to put it in a slab is because that's going to jack up my stuff. And so I don't want to do that. That's going to eventually damage the coin. And, again, it's like getting an MS70 with milk spots. Once the milk spots start to take over, it's not an MS70 anymore. It detracts from the coin. So it's one of those things that you have to take into consideration. Really understand the quality of the coin you're looking at. Look to identify the carbon spotting and stuff like that. Remember, they're either copper or they're zinc. Zinc deteriorate like nothing else. And so you've got to really make sure that you are looking at the copper in these and the zinc in these, and make sure that you're storing them properly. And we'll talk about storage. I've got videos on storage and all that stuff if you want to know more about it, or you come into the live stream and ask a question. Sundays are the best days to ask questions because we have good panel members. We often have guests from pretty famous coin shops. Harlan J. Burke is a big one. We'll have somebody from Harlan J. Burke on tomorrow. Normally we'll have people like Paula Bloom, Eric Beyer. We'll have Jack Young, Jack Riley's come up. These are people that work in the anti-counterfeiting realm. So there's a lot of really neat people that come up on panel and share their wisdom and answer questions and talk about some really neat stuff. So make sure you're coming on Saturday and Sundays. Hit your notification once you subscribe. Make sure you're putting that out there. I love my weekend streams. There's a lot of great information that gets put into these, a lot of good stories. And again, it's question and answer. And we go from 8:30 Central to 10. If we need to extend it a little bit, no problem. If there's great discussion, then we will continue the discussion as long as that discussion is going. If for some reason there isn't a good discussion, then we end early, right? We're not just going to drag it on for everything. Invisible. Why is a plate coin in the coin picture for the variety? So a plate coin is the coin in the picture. Yes. And so what a plate coin is, and somebody can correct me if I say this slightly wrong, but a plate coin is a discovery coin. It's the identification coin. That when you were searching through maybe a roll of 1945s and you happen to find this, every coin has an associated listing. This one is associated to Jeremiah Nichols. This one is associated to Rithy Uerth. This one is associated to Stephen Arvan. And so these were either the people that were doing the searching, not the creator of the coin, the person who found the variety. And this is the best example of the photo. There you go. Dan McCumber just finished it off. This is the best example or the nicest photo quality coin that they found now in that series. If they don't wait for 6 months, find another one, and that becomes the plate coin. They take a picture of the ones where they identify it. If there's one that's overly corroded, they will take photos of that. When they find a better coin, they might change the plate coin. And so again, it's one of those things where you're going to want to look at. JJ, make sure you put live coin Q&A. That's the wrong Paula Bloom. FYI. Pull up live coin Q&A. But I appreciate you throwing that in there, JJ. Yeah, and it does make it even more special. And so again, so if I were to want to actually do some research on some of these coins, yeah, they do update old ones, then I would know who to contact. Now, why is this important? Well, let's dig through a couple of these. Let's see. Jody Gomez. Jody Gomez. Jody Gomez. Well, guess what? If I was looking to study 1945s and looking at the doubling on the date or looking at Liberty or maybe checking out this doubling inside the 4, and I really wanted to get a good example or really good quality photos, maybe even get my hands on the coins, I would now know who to go out and talk to. And so it's really good for those people who are doing that deep, hardcore coin research to really, or guy, sorry, to make sure that, you know, you were able to do this. And so you would be able to know, you know, who to reach out to. And so there's a lot of cool things about having a plate coin. Now, is it the end all be all? No. There they're listed in a little thing like this. Can somebody swap out that coin? Yes. But if you were to look at this and you would see that it's not the same variety, there's going to be things on this coin. Could somebody do something with this? Absolutely, right? So if you wanted to do something like, I don't know, send it to the grading company and have them put it in there, you could do that. But they're neat to have. So they carry some special intent for people who like to collect that stuff. Some people collect plate coins. I love getting plate coins. It's cool to be able to go to a website and see your name in lights, right? It's cool to be able to see your name as the person who found it and to be able to go through. Or if you're looking at something, and I did this with Shay Hofstetter of Mantic Coins, when we were looking at some coins, we were researching some stuff on 1953 cents. And I knew a couple of the people and said, hey, do me a favor, go grab that coin. Okay. And we did a non-live live, a video conference. They put it under the scope. We looked at it and it was like, let's see if there's another marker, because I found another one that looks exactly like it. It looks exactly like the exact same thing. I think it might even be the same coin. And it ended up being a different coin. It was a different mint mark style. But if it would have been for the fact that I was able to actually look at his coin, the image wasn't that great. And so you can reach out to them and say, hey, I need a new image submitted, and they can get new coins. So they could send it to the person updating the website, or you could contact that person and say, hey, can I get some better quality photos? So there's a number of reasons why it would be nice to be able to know who owned that plate coin. Now, plate coins can be sold, right? And so again, it's one of those things. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoy looking at those. What else do you guys want to look at? Is there anything else? I've got a couple different things here. Let's pull up. I like this one. Let's pull up this one. Oops. DW found a 39 Henning. Bastard. I mean, congratulations. I'm happy for him. You guys see this? Let me come down a little closer. Look at this. You guys see that? Rotate this a little bit. See when we get the best look at it. Where is it? There we go. That's a good look. Let's move that. There. See those serifs? Split down in the T, lower R, U, S, the T. Yeah, that's a fun one. This is the 1964 D. Yeah, fun stuff. Paula, hi, I've missed my scope. I have missed doing this. I'm telling you. I was like, I'm chomping at the bit to get back out here and look at some of these things and point out some of the doubling in these things. Yeah, you don't really see it here. It's really just on the In God We Trust. See a little bit there on the T, a little bit there on the bottom serif of the R. See it there on the B. Yeah, a little on the E. Yeah, fun stuff. So I like looking at this stuff. But again, when you're looking at these things, now you can tell that I'm utilizing the light from the coin scope. And how can you tell that? Well, because you see these little rings, right? These little light rings that are here. These are coming from the light scope or the coin scope itself. Now I can shut this off, okay? No problem. And you'll see that this actually does a number to my lighting. And I can adjust my lighting by moving another light and changing the temperature of the light. So I can actually change the temperature of the light and adjust this. But I want you to notice something. When I changed the lighting, you can't see the serifs as well as you could before because now they're kind of blasted by the light. So in order to see those, you actually have to rotate this coin almost 180 degrees so that you can start seeing the serifs again. That's where you can see the serifs. Now you're looking on the opposite side, you're looking here. So it's important to, number one, know your light source, right? You want to make sure you understand. It might be, know your light source, know where your light is coming from, because again, that's going to help you understand where your rotation is going to have to come from. And you can see it there. It's actually really, really nice right there. You can see that in the bottom of the T, or there in the T, the U, the R, all the way across. You can see that really well. But again, it's important to rotate your coin because sometimes things will show up really, really well in some positions and they won't in others. So again, if you want to use the light on your scope, okay, and I'm going to throw that back up there, you can do that, but just remember that you need to take into account things like the plastic. So if you're looking at a 2x2 flip like this, you're going to have the plastic over the coin. So if you're going to be looking at this through there, you know, take into account that you have, yeah, my blue gloves. That's because I was looking at some of my RPMs and double die Versas, and some of these are like $50, $60 coins. Yeah, no love, no glove. But yeah, so I just kept these on because I was looking through the rest of them. But you just have to understand and expect the fact that you're going to see some of these light reflections. Now you can tip it up and you can adjust and you can put your coins at an angle to alleviate that. You can still see the doubling here, but again, you have to deal with focus and stuff like that. So if you're going to set it up that way where you're going to have a light directly overhead, okay, coming straight down, you want the light to be coming from you at a side angle, not directly above. You don't want your light and your microscope or your light and your coin scope to have the same angle of observation. So you don't want your light to be at the same point. You want it to be off because that will deflect the light. One, you'll see the light radiate up, but you'll also see the primary light, deflect. And so it's important to make sure you know where your light's coming from. Now, if I go back to looking at something like this, and this is the B reverse. So what we're looking at here is this down here. You see the leaf touching the A in dollar. Again, I can position this thing to where the lighting is, it's not affected by the lighting because those lights show up down at the bottom. And so I just adjust it up top so that you don't see the lights in the picture. Hey, what's up, J-Lo? What's going on, bud? And so again, you have to get familiar with what you're doing, understand your scope, play with it a little bit, play with the lighting. But lighting is extremely important when you're looking at these things. And again, rotate, rotate, rotate. You're always wanting to look at this in different positions. different locations. You can see some neat stuff from these things. And I think that's it, because I don't think there's anything else on this coin. Look, it's a G. In God we trust. Not a C. Yeah, let's not get into that. All right. Yeah, I want to be going to bed pretty soon. I've got a stream in the morning. I know Paula's going to probably be going to bed pretty soon here too, as well. Have a good night, Amy. Thank you so much for coming in. What digiscope is that? This is actually an AmScope. It's a 200x 20 megapixel. If you look at the live stream that I did this morning, if you go to the description, the scope that I use, the loop that I use are listed there, and you can see both of those numbers. They go to Amazon because I didn't have to pay shipping when I bought it from Amazon. The guy from AmScope is the one who told me to go there. They were going on sale, so he's like, go there, check it out. This is another piece that I like. Paula will like this one. Get that out of the way. There you go, Paula. How's that? You like that one? Shannon, what's up? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. So yeah, this is another fun one. You bought Adam's A&A coin. That's a really cool one. And folks, again, if you're watching this and you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. So let me do this. I had zoomed in on this. I'm going to make a quick adjustment and get back the full coin scope so you can see this. So give me a second while I adjust this for you all. There you go. Now you can see the whole image. I did this because I wanted to zoom in a little bit so that you guys could see the mint marks. But again, I'm going to be looking at stuff like this moving forward. It's nice to get the scope back and be able to set up. One thing about getting an AmScope, if you get the AmScope, make sure you download the software for it. The software is extremely important when you're setting up things like white balance and your frame rate and stuff like that. Make sure that you're doing that. It's really important to make sure that you're setting that stuff up. K3, not K5. I think I've missed something. I'm sure you're probably talking about something else. I totally missed it. But yeah, so just make sure you're checking your light and downloading it. But cool stuff. It's fun. I like it's fun having the coin scope back. Having something that I can look at. Looking at coins again, searching through some items. I did find this one. Where did it go? Found this one yesterday. When setting up the scope, I went through some coins and found this one. Really nice looking 1964. Does have a little bit of stuff on its ear. Definitely detracts from the coin. It's kind of a bummer too, because this is a nice RPM. This is a MM06. So nice coin. Found this in a roll. And I'll pull down and show you. And you can see there on the D that that doubling there. So Shannon's working on 2 videos. Outstanding. It'll be nice to see some more content come out of LiveCoin Q&A. We miss seeing you guys. But so yeah, it's nice to be able to go through. And again, this is something I'll pull a little bit more so you guys can see this a little better. What the hell is going on? Oh, dingbat. You got to put it in your... There you go. I'm trying to move this. And I don't even have it in my... There we go. Now you can probably see that deal a little bit better. But again, the problem that I had with my other scope is that the colors would change and it would get all nasty and gray and dingy, and the light would hug it and it just would be horrible. This is not a plate coin, JJ. This is one that's already established. This is RPM number 4, or on copper coins, it's 1mm4. It's a nice RPM. There's a couple different markers here. One of them is where is my white balance is shifting. I need to fix that. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong coin. Oh, you gotta love it. I'm looking at the wrong coin. All right. I need to get back on copper coins and pull up the website so you guys can see this. And the problem with 60s, man, 60s get overwhelming, depending upon the mint mark you get. The number 4, here we go. Number 6. Number 6. All right. Oh, I'm not sharing. There we go. And we'll put that back up here so you can see that. And then again, here's the mint mark. You can see that mint mark there. And then again, you look at the die markers, you can see the die scratches here off of the 9. And then there's one over here. So we go back to the coin. Flip that off, you see the die scratches on the 9 there. And if we rotate this over, there's the other marker. Doesn't want to show it very well. Good, right there. So anyway, but then it's got this, and I have 3 really nice coins that have this kind of junk. I'm hoping that's just a fleck, but looks like it's the Green Death starting. Yeah, looks like it's the Green Death. That's the second coin I found, and I think they were both in that same roll. This one wasn't attributed by copper coins because I found it roll hunting the other day, but it's still pretty nice. I've got it labeled and in my book, so it's nice to be able to find coins again. I'll do some searches. I've got a couple rolls that I'll be going through, and Eric and I have talked about doing on the channel, making sure that at least once a month we're going through and do some coin searches on the weekends, and then I'll probably do once every couple weeks, do a live stream where we just go through a roll and just talk about stuff and yip yap and chit chat and do that kind of stuff. So, all right, folks. Well, hey, I'm going to wrap things up. I just wanted to be on for a little while, show you guys some stuff. Thank you for those of you who subscribed. Again, make sure you hit the notification bell. If you guys are up in the morning, 8:30 Central Daylight Time, Central Standard Time, it's Chicago time. Come check out the discussion. We're going to be talking about what is the mint's role. There was a question that happened today, so I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to go pretty in depth. If you really want to understand what the mint's position and role is, come let me know. Come watch that tomorrow. I've got 2 questions from people that I'm going to answer. And then we have a couple different people coming up. So Make sure you're there tomorrow. And again, hit the notification bell, and I'll be releasing some more videos later this week. All right, folks, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for spending your weekend with me. And Shannon, one time you're going to have to come up on panel, say hi, hang out with us. All right? All right, folks, take care, be well, be blessed. I'm going to go eat my pizza, take a quick shower, and then go to bed. And then I will see you guys in a few hours.